Hello, everyone. My name is DeAndre, and I'm 30 years old. And I just wanted to get on, I just wanted to kind of reintroduce myself. And I also wanted to tell my story a bit because I know right now that people often kind of see the end results of I guess, what I've created and the success and the land flipping and everything. And then they can kind of get a misconception of they see people see where you are or how you got there, right? In a way, they see you there, but I don't think they understand the struggles, or they understand how hard it was to actually get there. The late nights, the sleeping on the couch, the going to bed hungry, the working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and still being broke, right? At the end of the day, still not having money, even though you're working, right? So I just kind of want to come, tell my story, just share a little bit. So this is going to be part one, okay? But I kind of want to start back even before real estate, land, any of that was even existed to me, right? So I was basically born into Section 8. For the people who don't know what Section 8 is, it's a government program. It's welfare. It's kind of like, your parents are not making enough money, right? So they give you government subsidies. They pay half of your rent, or they pay all of your rent. They give you food, things that you can't afford on your own. The government comes in and says, "We'll give it to you. We'll help you," right? So I've been on a program like this before. My mom and my parents been on the program like this since before I was even born, right? But again, so I grew up with a single parent household. It was just my mom. All right, my dad wasn't around, and then when he came around, he didn't come around much or barely any at all. So it was my mom and five kids, three girls and two boys. So me and my brother and my three sisters. All right, and we were all on this government program, this welfare program, right? So you could imagine how hard it is, right? Being on this program, and then a single parent having five kids, and then on top of that, we didn't live in the best neighborhood. You gotta understand that, right? So what comes with these programs? Yeah, they help pay your rent. Yeah, they give you food, and they help you with some of these things, but it's not in the best neighborhoods. It's not in the best areas. It's normally in crime-ridden areas, drugs, gangs, activities like that. So, so you grow up in an area like that, and again, it's very easy to become a product of your environment, right? But obviously, I was too young to understand all of this. When I got older, I finally understood it. But when I was young, we was doing that. We was living in poverty or being poor, you know, living on government benefits, things of that nature, right? And then as I started to grow up, um, start going to school, things like that. Um, my sister passed away. My oldest sister passed away. Her name was Ashley. She was 25 years old. She's the one that I resembled the most. Like, we looked alike the most, right? I loved her very much, right? She was in my heart, my soul. We fought a lot, but we also did a lot of things for each other. We spent a lot of time together. Um, we just, that's my rock. She was. I don't know, man. I love that. I love that girl, man. I think about her every year, every day, every year her birthday passes. Sometimes in some months, I just randomly think about her. Sometimes. Um, but again, you know, my sister passed away. That was hard. Growing up with a single mom, that's hard. Being on the welfare program, that's hard, right? But just to kind of continue the story, so as I was growing up, I started being in the streets, right? I got introduced to the streets. Okay, now people talk about the streets. People start at different ages, right? I think I started at about 10 years old. Right? When I say started at 10 years old, I'm talking about fighting. I'm talking about smoking. I'm talking about stealing. I'm talking about going to clubs and parties and doing things that a 10-year old shouldn't be exposed to. A 10-year old shouldn't be smoking weed, smoking cigarettes. A 10-year old shouldn't be out at 12 in the morning, 2 a.m., partying in the club, having sex with girls, stuff like that. That's not something that a 10-year old should be doing. But I was very exposed to these things at that age because of the neighborhood and the area that I grew up in. right? So when you're in certain neighborhoods, you're going to be exposed to certain things. So I was exposed to smoking, drinking, you know, things, just very. It came so fast, I didn't even know I was in it. It was just happening, My mom didn't. My mom was very gentle. She was very like flexible a lot. So she wasn't strict on being home at a certain time and not hanging out with certain people, right? She wasn't that strict because we didn't have that. I didn't have that father household and the figure to, you know, discipline me, tell me I shouldn't be hanging with these people or telling me I shouldn't be going here, stuff like that. So kind of had to figure that out on my own in a way. Thank God. By the grace of God, I did. But I did all those things: smoking, drinking, fighting, having sex with girls. Um, just we did so many things unimaginable. I can't even go deep into it, man. There's so much. Just you know, um, but repping gangs, getting suspended from school. I mean, I got expelled from school. Right? I got expelled. Like I got to the point where I was not even allowed in public schools for I think almost what I think it was a year or 2 years, right? So that's how I know like I was definitely not living the best life, right? But honestly, I'm glad I had those experiences because when I was bad like that, or when I was doing these things in the streets and all this, when I got expelled from public school, right? When I got expelled from public school, it took away something from me. It took away football, right? And as you know, growing up around certain neighborhoods and certain people, they still in football and they use sports, right? Sports. So when I got expelled, I missed a year of football. I missed my first year of high school. I got expelled in my eighth grade year, and middle school, I got expelled. So then it rolled over to my freshman year of high school, and I was so hurt I couldn't play sports, right? But I'm actually happy I went to this school, man. This school, Pine Ridge, it was for kids like me, kids that didn't know how to act, kids that were bad, kids that didn't know how to get their shit together, kids that grew up a certain way, that just didn't know how to be in a public setting and just be normal. So this place, man, you couldn't have phones, okay? They searched you before you got in the place, right? You got to tuck your shirt in. You got to wear a uniform. You got to walk in a straight line. Sometimes when you have lunch, you can't talk. It was almost like a prison school, in a way. But it kind of helped me, there were grown men there, big men there. And it's not like a regular public school where teachers and stuff, they can't say certain things to students, right? When you at this school, oh man, they're gonna tell you whatever they want to tell you. They're gonna grab you by your shirt and say, "Are you talking to me?" Like they're gonna be in your face. And then they had this room called the mat, right? Like if you get real disrespectful, then they'll slam you. They'll slam you. They'll take you down. Um, they'll do it. Basically, this school is exactly what it was for, kids like me. So being in this school, it kind of taught me discipline. It taught me to control my anger. It taught me to kind of manage my behavior better. Respect adults more, stuff like that. So by the grace of God, I made it out of that school, and then I was able to go to high school. All right. After that, and then I was able to kind of turn my life around, had better grades, things of that nature. Right. So that's kind of what the start was. That was my start. That's the beginning. That's like the beginning before the beginning, right? Just the best way to explain it. So this video is going to serve as part one of DeAndre's story. All right. So in the next video, I'm going to get into part two, and this will be from going into high school now after being expelled from middle school, going through this disciplinary school. Now the next video is gonna be from high school up until university. All right, so stay tuned to the next video.